You've been on some excursions?
But excursions?
Have you gone on some
No,
excursions? No.
no.
How's the weather been in Ashland?
It's been pretty cold lately. A little bit colder than normal in April, but it's always pretty nice.
Do you guys get snow in that area or no?
Yeah, we get snow probably a couple weeks a year.
Okay.
Nothing too crazy, but it's similar to Colorado where there's a lot of sunshine and just when
Hmm.
it's cold and stuff in the winter. So we get a lot of sunshine down here, a little bit of precipitation, so it's not too bad.
And it's always sunny and 80 in the wrestling room, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're with Joel Gibson from Southern Oregon Wrestling. Coach, how's it going tonight?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing well, doing well. Coach, before we get into everything, why don't you give us your socials where you want to direct the athletes and anyone that's listening and wants to find out more about the program?
The athletics website is souraiders.com. We got SOU Men's Wrestling Facebook. We have SOU Men's Wrestling Instagram, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, awesome. And so, Coach, give us a little bit about your background. How did you get into wrestling? Was it something that was in your family, or were you the first generation of wrestlers? And get us up to how you got it to the university to got into coaching.
I didn't start wrestling until I was a sophomore in high school. Um, I went to North Medford High School, which is a they're big on football, baseball, all the things that aren't wrestling. But my defensive coordinator when I was a sophomore, who was going to be would have been the varsity guy by the time I made it that far. He told me if I wanted to get better at football, then I needed to wrestle. So I started wrestling, and then kind of fell in love with it. I stopped playing baseball. Then I just did wrestling and football for my last 2 years. So then I had a pretty good football career. Um, then I missed out on the state tournament my senior year and felt like I had I don't know, more desire to continue to compete. So I just started wrestling and wrestling in college. I came to SOU and then transferred to Oregon State my second year and was there for three. Took a year off and went coach at Clackamas Community College, and then I came back to SOU in '06 and '07 and finished my career here, and then started coaching immediately afterwards.
Okay. Did you wrestle for Coach Zelensky?
I did not. I wrestled for Joe Wells.
Oh, okay.
He was
Awesome.
he was the head coach before Jim.
Okay. Okay. And then a little bit of through line. We before he left Clackamas and went to OSU, we had Coach Roden on, Josh
Okay.
on a while back, talked to him. And so you mentioned something that's really important, I think, because I have a difficulty with the football coach that I work with or worked with, where the football coach, I wouldn't say he discouraged the football players from wrestling, but it certainly wasn't encouraged. And I found it pretty interesting, and maybe it's more unique out this way, but that your football coach actually encouraged you to wrestle. Was he a part of the wrestling program as well?
Yeah, he was an assistant coach. I think he wrestled a little bit in high school, but he played college football and being an assistant coach on the high school wrestling team plus wrestling himself, obviously saw the importance and the correlation between the two. So he talked me into it. Like my freshman year, I just played football and then lifted all winter and then played baseball in the springtime. And so he talked me into trying out for wrestling the following year. And then I ended up quitting baseball and then doing wrestling and football.
What position you play in football?
Outside linebacker my last 2 years.
Okay. And was he right? Did wrestling make you a better football player?
Yeah, considerably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like I was above average. I was better than most guys. I was pretty good, but then once I started wrestling, like I jumped levels tremendously. So I ended up being one of the better guys. So I think it helped a lot. I don't know, maybe I matured all at the same time, but
What aspects of for some of the football guys that might be on the fence about having the wrestling coach in their ear trying to get them out for football, When you say you jumped levels, what aspects of wrestling helped you be a better football player?
I think it just makes you tougher
Yeah.
because, I'd never wrestled before. And then I jumped into a pretty decent high school room and just got beat up. And so you obviously have to deal with that. And I don't know, it's harder than football. So bottom line, it makes you tougher. Plus, obviously, there's the double legged and single leg takedowns, which help in bringing guys down on the football field.
Coach, when you went to Southern Oregon and started coaching there when you were getting your master's, did you think that was going to be a place you were going to be there, 10 plus years later? Did you just kind of fall into that position?
Um, Kind of all of the above. When I coached at Clackamas, it was the year before Josh Roden got there, and I coached with two guys, Mike Haluska and Lloyd Martindale, both really great guys, and I had a lot of fun. So I decided I wanted to be a college wrestling coach. Then finished my year at Southern and started coaching with Mike Ritchie, who was my head coach at the time. Started coaching with him and got my master's degree, and I kind of put all my eggs in this basket and just hung on and continued to coach. And I had to work odd jobs. I did a lot of construction and other things to make money, and just eventually put myself in a position where I had the opportunity to take the program over.
And I saw before you took the program over, you were the girls coach for a little bit, head coach there. Was that a position where, hey, we need a girls coach, and you're like, well, I want to be part of the wrestling program, and this is what I'm going to do? And was there a learning curve teaching females wrestle, or not teaching them because obviously they're coming to college, but coaching females wrestling? And what was that learning curve like?
Um, Actually, so in 2013, I'd left and was the head high school coach at Phoenix High School, which is just up the road. Then I talked my head assistant Tucker Van Meter into helping me at the high school. He was a little bit reluctant at first, and then he got in there and really enjoyed it. Then in 2017, we both came back because we had a lot of success as a program. I don't know, just forever. And my last year was 2013, and we were second. We were second, right behind Grandview, and we were right in there for multiple years. We were second, gosh, I think 6 times, 5 or 6 times to Lindenwood, Notre Dame, and Grandview. So, long story short, we left and then came back in 2017. And the program was essentially in disarray. So, um, Tuckett actually left. He went to Brazil. His wife's from Brazil, so they went down there for 6 months, and I continued to coach with Mike. And I decided that I was going to be done coaching. I was going to take a different career path. And then Paul Rodemaker, who's now the head women's coach at Indiana Tech, he left. So I just decided to throw my name in the hat, and then I got the job. And then Tuck again, we were coaching together, and we had a lot of success that first year. And then COVID hit, and then Mike retired. I got appointed the head coach of both programs. Tucker got an elevated position. So we did the men and the women for 2 years. And then I think last year we just exclusively did the men's program or coached the men's program, I guess. So we just finished year 3. So
So
we did both, and during COVID, that was kind of a mess, but we got through it. But it just got to the point where it was too much trying to do both programs. But as far as the learning curve goes, with the women, I would say it was little, like, you didn't know what to, like, I don't know, you don't know what to do with your hands because you don't want to get for obvious reasons.
Hmm.
And then as we got more comfortable, I mean, you just start coaching wrestling, and it's not that big a deal. But we had each other to demonstrate technique on, and so on and so forth. Um, but it was just a normal wrestling practice. It didn't matter. But one thing we did notice about the women is they were very eager to learn, and they were very appreciative of what we were teaching and what we're showing. So that's a kind of nice change of pace versus coaching a men's team because there's you got a lot of testosterone, a lot of egos with young men, and they think they know how to do it one way, and that may not necessarily be it. But the women were very, very receptive to what we were presenting to.
That's actually what Coach Steiner said to us when we talked to him when he took over the program at Colorado Springs, where he was kind of reluctant to show certain things or how to demonstrate. And it got to a point where the ladies on the team was like, "Well, why aren't you gut wrenching me, or why don't you show me that?" And he's like, "I need to learn this move just like men." And once they said that to him, he said it kind of turned that button on his head. Is hey, it's just wrestling, and you got to teach wrestling how wrestling's taught. So I appreciate you being open because I think it's one of those things, especially for men coaching women. It's like, oh, but they got to learn just like men. So you say 3 years in, and prior to leaving, you guys were kind of top three kind of consistently for a bunch of years. And you said you came back in 2017 and the team was kind of all over the place. Now 3 years in, and now you don't have to worry about coaching both programs. What do you think needs to be done to kind of turn that corner to bring the guys back up to the top three?
Um, I think I mean, the first year was rough. The program or the guys that we inherited were not. They didn't want to be good at wrestling. They were into everything but being good at wrestling. But they were good. A lot of them were good athletes, but they just didn't want to buy in and do what it took to be good on the mat and good in the classroom. So we ended up cutting them and getting rid of all but one of them. We still have one guy, and we just brought in a bunch of freshmen and sophomores, and kind of shared our vision of the program, and they've really bought in. So our first year was the year before we took over. I think we were 48th in the country, or like 1 point at the national tournament. And then our first year, we had two All-Americans that we recruited as freshmen, Aaron Gandara and Evan Potter. And then the following, well, gosh, what our record was like 5-6 in duels. We are eighth in the conference. Then we got Evan and Aaron on the podium, which was a nice way to end it. But then the next year, so we cleaned house. We kept Aaron and Evan obviously because they were doing the right things and they were successful on the mat. So we kind of built around them, and then that following year, year two, I think we were 11-4 in duels and ended up second in the conference. 5 national qualifiers, which was just a little bit of improvement. We still kind of felt like it was a disappointment, but we were heading in the right direction. Then this year, we qualified 9 for the national tournament. We had a 15-3 dual meet record and beat a lot of teams that were ranked ahead of us. I mean, number 3, the number 4, the 6, no, the 5, the 11 twice. That was 2 separate teams, Indiana Tech and Embry-Riddle. Eastern Oregon, that was 17th. Yeah, we had a pretty good season. Then we qualified 9, had 3 All-Americans, and ended up 11th in the country. So we're definitely heading in the right direction. It's just recruiting good guys. One of the big things is it takes money to I guess get the best athletes here. So we do a lot of fundraising. We got a good support from our alumni. People are willing to help us out financially, and we can go out and get those guys that that are going to be on the podium.
Well,
I still feel like this year was just a little bit of a letdown at the end. I feel like we probably realistically should have had 5 guys on the podium, probably been in the top 7 minimum. But I mean, we're close. I mean, we're getting there.
yeah, and you're improving every year and getting better and better as a team and taking 9 guys. That's pretty impressive. One thing I want to go back to though, you said year one you had a clear house.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like, kind of, talking to your other coaches and realizing, hey, we got to get rid of everyone? Was there a thought of, hey, we just got to get through this season and then kind of cut them at the end of the season? What was that mindset of like, hey, you guys aren't cutting it, we can't have you here?
We got rid of some guys throughout the season. That they weren't falling in line, and kind of wanted to set the tone, but we're trying to get the other guys to come along. There's a handful of guys that we just knew that weren't going to make it. and they were not good seeds and not people that you want on your team. So we got rid of them immediately. And then there was a group of guys that were like, okay, maybe we can get them to come along. So anyways, we got through the season. The regional tournament was a disaster. I mean, we ended up eighth and qualified four guys. Um, that was a rough couple days. And then when grades turned was kind of what really with the last six guys that we got rid of. I think collectively, I don't think they had a 1.0 GPA.
Ooh,
So one of them had a zero point 0.0 GPA. So we
jeez.
brought them in at after spring break, first day of practice, and we talked and sent guys into the. We have two wrestling rooms right now. We're working on getting a new one. So we have a wrestling room that's ours. It's only one mat, and then next door we practice in the rec center, which we have two mats rolled out. So we sent guys to the rec center and said, "Hey, and you, stick around." And it just said, "Listen, you can't come back, and unless we have a meeting." I think there was something like that. There was one guy that stuck around and had a meeting, and he's the one that's still here. And he's a good kid. He just kind of slipped up at that point in time, but he's been solid before and after that. Just kind of it was just kind of a rough group of guys that we had, and just needed to clean house and get rid of them. But it was a I think it was a turning point in the program because if we would have kept them around and because they were good athletes, they won a lot of matches. If we would have kept them around, I don't think we would be as far as we are at this point in time. Which was a good learning lesson because we had all freshmen and sophomores that second year, and they had a lot more success than that previous group, who on paper was probably quite a bit tougher or better. How about that?
Is that the sort of thing where you and the coaches had that collective decision? Did you have to go to admin and run it by them and tell them where you were at and that sort of stuff, or were they coming to you about the kids' grades? How did all that play out?
Well, we get a grade report at the end of every term. Our volleyball coach runs a grade report, gives you the team GPA, the team GPA, individual GPAs, how many credits they take, how many credits they pass, all that information. So it wasn't necessarily like, hey, these guys are failing. We just decided to get rid of them because that's not the standard that we were looking for. But as far as when we cut people, I don't have to ask permission from the administration. Matt Sayer, who's my athletic director, he's like, he just says, whatever you feel is best. And we have a lot of support there. So, and there's a couple of them that write emails to the higher ups and try to get us in trouble. But Matt's always got my back, so that's nice to have.
Yeah, it's good to have support from the athletic director in situations like that because sometimes that can get a little dicey. Talking about recruiting, what does your umbrella look like? Are you sticking to the Pacific Northwest? Are you looking into Northern California and some of the other surrounding states?
I would say most of our guys are obviously from Oregon, and we got Oregon, California are the probably the top two, I guess, as far as the most guys on our team, and then we've got a couple from Washington. We've got a handful from Idaho. Got a Utah kid, a couple from Arizona. So we're trying to we got a pretty wide net. And the WUI tuition, which is oh gosh, like half of what out of state tuition is if you live in North Dakota, South Dakota, West, pretty much. You qualify for WUI tuition, which is quite a bit cheaper than the out of state. But there's other scholarships available for out of state students too. So
Is there a
there's
little
ways. Or Oregon guys are the cheapest, obviously. In state tuition's not too bad.
now is
WUI
there
makes it very feasible for us to go out and
yeah,
get guys out of state.
okay. Is there a little bit of trash talking in the room with which state is the most dominant high school wrestling? You get a little bit of that going on?
Heard too much of that. I mean, there's trash talking going on. I haven't really heard too much about who's the toughest high school.
Okay.
Now, being that you spend time at Clackamas, are you looking at some of the junior college guys? Do you tend to try to get some junior college guys because they already have some experience of college wrestling under their belt?
Oh yeah, definitely. We're looking, we're talking to guys from North Idaho, Clackamas, Western Wyoming. We've got a couple guys that are California JUCO transfers. But we got an All American at 174 from Clackamas, Paul Ortiz. He's he went up a weight class just for benefit of the team. And he's a 65 pounder, so we'll have him there. And then we got Tim Lopez from Clackamas as well. He was won a couple matches at the national tournament, a weight class above. So yeah, we're definitely looking at junior college kids.
So prior to this podcast, I went and I took the virtual tour to just kind of see what the campus looked like, and it looked right up our alley. It looks like it's across from the mountains, and you guys have a beautiful campus. What kind of kids are kind of looking to go there, and what kind of kids are going to fit in good in Ashland?
Well, the scenery, the landscape is I don't know. I would think is pretty impossible to beat. If you look at all the cities across the country that we compete against, it's not even the same ballpark. Um, we're just recruiting kids that want to come and be good students and want to wrestle hard and want to win. So if they fit into that category, um, you know, they're kind of in a niche on our team. And a lot, wrestlers are all the same. Ashland's pretty. How do you say it? There's a lot of different things to do in Ashland. Um, but I don't know. I think it kind of can work out for anybody depending on your frame of mind or point of view.
Is there a lot of hunting, a lot of hiking, stuff, outdoor life out there?
There's like, yeah, there's all of it. There's hunting, there's fishing, there's hiking, there's the Shakespeare Festival, there's all like there's everything you can and want to do.
You're in the Rogue River Valley there, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah. Do any fly fishing?
I don't fly fish. I bait fish.
Okay.
Coach, what are majors or is the college known for? Is there anything that kind of sticks out that
Education, business. We got a good science program, health and PE. We got a kinesiology program now. We're kind of pathway to be an athletic trainer, or we've had a handful of people. We've got dentists, we've got some doctors, we've got some chiropractors. So we got all sorts of different options. Health and
eh,
PE are big, education's big, and so is business.
one thing I like to ask all the coaches from my experience in college is internships and jobs after network after. How's the alumni? Are you able to reach out to some of the alumni, get some guys connections as far as getting jobs and getting internships?
Yeah, I mean, like Nick Klein's a chiropractor. If we have anybody wanting to go down that road, which there's a guy who's a physical therapist. They've been talking recently. Chris Huntley, he sells medical supplies. Same with like Waylon Allsbury. They're all spread out across the, I don't know, I guess the West. Like Waylon's in Arizona, Chris is in Portland. There's a lot of different options. We got in there. All the alumni are willing to help.
So is there a chiropractic school at the college or do they get their
No,
4-year
it's just kind
degree?
of pathway. It's like a pre med.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So like I think Nick went to a chiropractic school in Portland.
And so you mentioned earlier the region tournament, the NAI, is that broken into how many regions do they have?
I think it's 7.
And
In our region, the Cascade Conference is by far the toughest conference in the country. We had 63 conference allocations for qualifiers for the national tournament. The next closest one was 32. So, and then a qualification standard is depending on weight class, how many guys are ranked in the top 25 in that last poll. So if there's 5 at 125, you can take 5 at 125. Or if there's 1 at 33, you get 1. Or, I think we got 9 through at 165 this year. So yeah, we get a lot of allocations.
the NAI has a unique situation where each school you get to pick two individuals for one weight class. Is that correct?
Yeah, but no more than 12.
No more
So
than
you can
12.
double up at 6, or you can take a full starting lineup plus 2 extras. Any combination that your best combination of 12 that you can figure out.
And what was your double up? Did you have one this season?
Yeah, we doubled up at 41, 49, and 57, and all of them qualified for the tournament.
And who'd you leave home?
How many did we leave home? 3.
What weights?
Actually, I lied. So our backup 49 pounder didn't make it. Oh, did we leave?
Did you leave any weights home?
Yeah, we left heavyweight because he got a concussion in the last dual meet of the season, and he was ranked 17th at the time. So which kind of hurt a little bit, but it's the way it goes. Yeah, he had a
Uh,
pretty severe concussion.
Now, outside of the concussion, when it's not an injury related, is that a tough conversation to have with an athlete?
Every year it is
Yeah.
because there's somebody's going to get left out. Usually the last 2 to 4 guys that the 11 and 12, the 11 and 12 spots are pretty tough to pick. It's splitting hairs, and sometimes you're wrong, sometimes you're right, but yeah, and then for the most part, it's pretty clear on who's going. I'd probably say the top 8, but then after that, we're definitely put our heads together.
Does that
We can,
elevate the intensity in the room?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
How is that with the weights that you double up? Have you had issues where you kind of have to separate, your 249 or 241 pounders because they want to kill each other, or hey, we're both going to nationals, let's help each other get better?
It's a little bit more like that. Like our 57 pounders, Dylan Straley and Aaron Gandara, who they've both had quite a bit of success. I knew at the beginning of the year, I'm just like, hey, we're probably gonna have one wrestle off, and we'll take both of you to all the tournaments, and then we'll split some duels here and there. But you guys are both going, so make each other better.
Coach, you brought up the fundraising before, and that is one question we like to ask our coaches that we have on, because that is something that we've figured out early on interviewing college coaches, that when you're a college coach, you're running a business. You're not necessarily getting to, get on the mat every day and getting to worry about the X and O's. A lot of times that falls under the assistant coaches. So I'm curious to what your CEO position looks like as far as running the program, getting the fundraising done, and all the ins and outs, the budget, stuff like that. And what things do you excel at as far as, running the business, and what things do you not like doing as far as running the business?
Um, well, the fun part's wrestling, right? Coaching wrestling and showing technique and running practices and all that stuff is what you don't really get to do as much as a head coach. Um, so there's that, but it's fun to recruit guys and bring them into the program and help develop them, and then you get to see them wrestle on the mat. Like we have, um, my assistants are huge. Like they run most of the practices, like you said. Because a lot of times you're just distracted on what's all the other stuff you have to deal with, eligibility and scholarship and travel and all that stuff. So it is nice having those guys out there. They have a fresh mind, and get to work with the guys too. Of course, I'm there all the time and helping out, but that's a huge benefit. And we have a lot of assistant coaches too. So I think there's 6 of us total. Um, but that was the fun part about being an assistant, which sometimes I wish I could go back, but I'm here now. Um, I think we excel at doing it all. Really, we've raised a lot of money since we took over the program. Um, our GPAs went up from a 2.6 to like almost a 3.3 as a team, which is a pretty huge jump, especially for a bunch of 18 to 24-year-old men. Um, did I mention the eligibility? The eligibility can be a little dicey sometimes. Usually by the end of fall, you get a little bit stressed out depending on, I don't know, how grades are looking for some guys, especially ones in the starting lineup. But you know, we've kept it all going. Um, I wish it would just be one of those situations where we could all just coach wrestling, but that's not part of the job.
Do you have, we talked to Coach Erzman down at Little Rock, and they have a holiday baked ham sale that they just crush it with, and then they're actually able to give some money back to the community. Do you
Mhm.
guys have any specific fundraisers that you do year after year?
Yeah, we have a golf tournament that we run in the fall. It's usually the last Saturday of September, but we're doing the first Saturday in October. And then we have a phone-a-thon like November, December ish, which we raise quite a bit of money on. And we're probably raising, which we get better every year. My goal is to get it over 100,000, but you know, we're pushing probably the 80 to 90 range every year,
And
which is
with the
pretty decent.
phonathon, are you calling specific people, or you get the old school, get out the yellow pages and you're just going through the white pages and calling people in the
No,
community?
that's every athlete has to contact 20 people.
Okay.
And then we have our alumni that we call to, and you
Is
know,
that like,
we have a specific group that we're reaching out to.
and is that something like a specific time, or is it each athlete has their 20 athletes and they're responsible for do that, or is it like kind of like an old school phonathon where, you maybe you're web streaming it or something, got some hosts?
No, we just meet in the office area and get everybody here and crank it out in a couple hours. And we this year I think we raised like 35 grand just off the phone-a-thon.
Wow.
So a couple hours and then a little follow up after that. We did pretty well.
Okay.
The golf
Do-
tournament's fun. You know, everybody likes it, but it is a lot of work. It's coordinating all the sponsors and then teams and you know just all the logistics that go into a big golf tournament. But that one keeps getting better every year too. So we're gonna stick with it.
With the phonathon, do you have guys that after you get done, like, hey, maybe you should be a business, maybe you should be a business major because you're crushing it, you're selling all 20 phone calls, and other guys where it's like, hey, maybe you're gonna be a PE teacher because you ain't selling anything.
Oh yeah, definitely. We got one guy that's kind of like the Wolf of Wall Street. He gets on there, he's writing stuff on whiteboard and having a good time.
So
A lot
you
of it is
brought,
kind of stressful for, but
yeah. So you
not all
brought
of them.
up,
Pretty good at it.
sorry, coach.
Yeah, you're good.
You brought up bringing the GPA up of the team and getting those guys eligible, and I'm sure, becoming a coach, like you said before, you just want to worry about the wrestling, you don't want to worry about that stuff, but that is a crucial part to being a college athlete and the coaching college athletes. What do you think that was the turn in the corner? Just, study halls, make sure guys are doing their work, checking up, making sure they're going to class. What do you think helped kind of get them to turn the corner and realize they have to be student athletes?
Um, you know, recruiting guys with strong GPA helps. Trying to get, but you know, it's actually really not that difficult to get a guy that's good in the classroom that's good on the wrestling mat too. Usually they kind of correlate. If they can take care of business off the mat, they're usually pretty good on the mat as well and pretty reliable. So those, you know, we look at GPA pretty strongly when we're recruiting guys. It's one of the first questions we always ask. Like, what's your GPA? If it's a 2.1, it's don't even waste my time. You know, if we're above a 3 point, then we can. And I'm not going to say like I think the goal is probably a 3.0 GPA when we're recruiting guys, but you know we can make some exceptions and you know if they struggled in one area like they struggled in reading or writing or whatever it may be, and they kind of fall below a 3 point, you know we can work with that. But you know if you just got a guy who's failing a bunch of classes, who's being a bum in the classroom, then we don't really it's not worth our time. So I've dealt with that once before.
Yeah, I feel like wrestling's one of those sports similar to cross country where if you're a high performer, like you said, you're usually a high performer all around. And in wrestling, guys have that work ethic, so that carries over into the classroom most of the time.
Mm-hmm. And if we got guys that are failing classes, they're not going to be here for very long. Like we'll send them down the road, or you know, say if it's a scholarship guy and they start failing classes, then we'll start taking scholarship money from them too. So there's some incentive there for them to, you know, um, to perform in the classroom as well. If they don't, they either won't be here or they start losing money, and they probably won't be here in the long run anyway. So depending on how important it is to them. And it's not like, I'm checking on guys every single day about going to class and getting their grades, but that's kind of the standard, and they know what to expect if they start slipping up. So
Coach, what's the community like? What's the fan base like? Is Ashland have a good wrestling community there?
I would say Ashland, no, but Southern Oregon, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the best programs in Oregon that came from Southern Oregon, like Phoenix High School. Oh, they 7 state titles. Crater High School, I think they have 9 or 10 state titles. Eagle Point had 4. And Southern Oregon wrestling has always been pretty dominant.
Coach, before we get in the final four, if Rich doesn't have anything for you, is there anything that we haven't touched on the program that if there's any recruits listening, someone who's, learning about Southern Oregon wrestling, learn about the program, go on the website, like what they see, anything you'd like to say to them?
Um, I guess we haven't really talked about the history of the program yet. Are you guys familiar with Southern Oregon as a whole? I guess as the wrestling program as a whole.
Just from looking on the website, but if you quiz me Jeopardy style, I probably wouldn't do pretty good.
It wouldn't do very good. Well, we have probably the richest tradition in the NAI at this point in time. We've got the most All Americans. I think this year we hit like 249 All Americans. We have 38 individual national champions, 5 national team titles, probably 10 runner ups, 37 or 38 regional titles. So it goes way back to Bob Ream when he took over, I think in like 71 or 72. He really put the program on the map, and we kept it going for a long time. And I think we're kind of getting back to that standard to where we're be chasing trophies here pretty soon. But with the exception of Grandview, they have more national titles than we do now. But we have all the individual accolades and some of the team accolades as well.
You tell Coach Mitchell you're coming for
He knows.
him. Coach Acosta too.
Coach,
We
what do
ha
you
Got you.
what do you think the key is? Just keep on plugging away, keep on doing what you guys are doing, and you're gonna get back there. Do you kind of have a timetable of when you like to get back there, or what you're looking at as far as, all right, 1 or 2 more recruiting classes, and we're gonna be on track?
Um, Gosh, I would have liked to have been there last year, but hasn't quite gone as fast as I hoped. Um, but no, I mean we're not too far from it. We're a recruiting class or two. We have a phenomenal recruiting class this year. We're gonna have we're gonna be bringing home trophies here pretty soon. I'm not sure how far we are from the 1 and 2 spot, but we're getting in. We're top 3 or top 4 here pretty soon. Hopefully this coming year. But it's a process, and it hasn't been easy. Um, we certainly didn't expect to dismantle my entire team in the first year and then start over. So that was kind of a wrench, but it needed to happen. Um, but no, I mean, all of us on the coaching staff, man, we're just working hard and putting our heads down and continue to raise money. We're all recruiting very hard and getting just getting the name out there. Tyler Winter and he's the head wrestling coach at Legacy Elite Wrestling Club in Medford, which is where I live. It's who my son wrestles for. Like he's the head coach of the dual team. I think the junior dual team. So he's out there spreading the word about Southern Oregon. Him and I are always on the road recruiting. We go to the Fargo camp every year. Just little things that are time consuming, and I wouldn't necessarily say hard, but they do take effort. But I think we're creating a buzz across the state that a lot of people want their kids to come to SOU, and they're sending their kids here too. Like we've got the 4 best lightweights in the state that we signed this year. Some of the best kids in Oregon are on our team now, and they're coming to us. Which that did take. I guess that might have been one of the most difficult things to do was get the reputation of the program turned around. But I guess it didn't really take that long. Maybe it felt like it took longer than it did, but You know, the group that we took over, and you know the two or three groups before that, you know, there was I guess a reputation that, you know, drugs and partying too hard and doing all the wrong things and stuff, which did take us, you know, it took us a couple of years to reverse that, but um, you know, just bringing in the right kids. But we got a huge buzz going um, across the state. Like we got a lot of people on our side, so I think that's just going to keep getting better if we keep doing what we're doing.
Coach, who's the main competition? You said it's a Cascade Conference, correct?
Yeah, in the Cascade.
Yeah.
It was Menlo. They've been kind of at the top for the last few years. We finally beat them this year in a dual meet, which was nice. Our first year was embarrassing. Like they came here and it was flat out embarrassing. I didn't even want to be the coach anymore. And then the following year, like we wrestled them tough. They just were able to win the close matches. And then this year they brought a team up and we wrestled pretty well. I think we beat them like 30 something to 6. They didn't quite have their full lineup, but we didn't either. So um, they've been the best for a little bit. And then I would probably say us, Providence, and Embry-Riddle are the top three in the conference. Montana State Northern's always tough. But there's your top four right there. Corbin's coming along too.
Where's that at?
They have an alumni. One of my old teammates that's their head coach now, and he's doing a pretty good job.
Where's that school located, Coach?
Salem, Oregon.
Okay. Okay. And
But
so
yeah,
would you
they're
go
pretty
ahead?
solid.
Yeah. Curious when you're having those moments, second guessing your decision to take over the program and having that match against Menlo, what are you doing to lift yourself up and stay positive and keep it on the path?
That's a that's an interesting question. You know, I don't know. I mean, you just got to keep doing what you're doing. I mean, there's going to be good days and bad days, and usually I'll get over it at some point in time. But you just got to focus on getting the guys better and keep moving forward.
Right on.
Coach, you mentioned the rich history and being a year or two away from being one of those top two teams, knowing what you came from and the program's history and knowing what it takes to be one of those top two teams. What do you think Life and Grandview are doing to consistently be top two year in and year out?
I think the obvious one is they have money to go get the best guys, and they, you know, obviously they know what they're doing. Like Grandview is, if you watch them wrestle, they're very fundamentally sound. They're tough. They win the close matches. You know, the stuff that needs to get done, but you know um, they're able to, you know, pay for the best guys, and that's one of the things that we're trying to do. Actually, we are doing. And I've told my athletic director that too. He's like, if we want the best guys, we got to be able to we got to be able to pay them. Bottom line, because you know it is their bottom line is what they're looking at. Being, you know, come to Southern Oregon, well, you got to pay $15,000 out of your pocket, or you can go to Grandview and pay zero. Doesn't matter where you live, you're going to Grandview. So if we can do that, I think we can get right in the mix with them, and which we are doing. So we've gotten a lot of support financially from the athletic director. Plus, we do a lot of fundraising, like I already mentioned, and you know we're able to go out there and give guys competitive offers and you know make it worthwhile for them and you know make their bottom line as small as possible, which we've been able to do in a lot of cases.
I appreciate that transparency and that honesty because I know when I was finishing up junior college, it was just trying to, hey, I've wrestled my whole life. I've put a lot of time into this. I would like to pay for my college. And I know there's a lot of guys out there that would like to pay for their college. They're going to Fargo every year. They're doing all the extra tournaments, going to camps. So I appreciate that transparency.
Yeah, and if you, we always joke about. I don't know, we just always joke about this subject. Doesn't matter how good of a coach you are, if you don't have athletes, you're not going to be successful. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Final floor, Rich.
Let's do it.
All right. Coach, are you a coffee drinker?
Yes.
How do you brew your coffee and how do you take it?
Black.
All right.
Brewed anyway.
Coach, do you have any daily practices or rituals that you do on a regular basis to show up as the strongest version of Joel Gibson?
Take a shower every morning.
Solid.
That's the best one yet.
It's true. I'll go brew a cup of coffee and then hop in the shower.
Hot or cold?
Shower?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm more. It's hot, man.
Okay. All right.
Coach, what are you listening to right now? Music, podcasts, audiobooks? Are you reading anything?
Uh, Music. It usually got some, I don't know, type of country or 80s music going on the big screen that we got in the office.
All right. So follow up to that. What 80s are you fancying? Rich and I are huge 80s guys.
Um, Gosh, all of it.
All
Def
right.
Leppard, Bon
Oh,
Jovi.
let's go.
My son and I have been listening to a lot of Heart lately.
Okay. You
Did
have a
we
go-to country?
What's that?
Go-to country music performer,
Mm,
artist?
George Strait.
Okay.
That's probably the number one.
Okay.
All the
Coach,
90s country too. That was good.
Billy Ray Cyrus or
he said it was good.
you have any take on guys like Morgan Wallen or Zach Bryan, any of those guys?
I like Morgan Wallen. I don't listen to
Okay.
Zach Bryan too much.
Okay. I was just curious because Zach's going to be in town here in Greenville
Oh
on
yeah,
Sunday. Yeah.
you guys gonna watch?
I might go over. I might go. It's in an arena, so I got some friends that are going. I might tag along with them. Coach, last one we have for you. Do you have a guilty pleasure or guilty pleasures? Could be food. I know Oregon is well known for their craft beer.
Right. All I got for you.
That's it. Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Awesome.
So yeah, all
Coach,
this nice craft beer.
all right.
I bypass that stuff.
Okay. Respect.
Coach, thanks for your time tonight. Thanks for filling us in and our audience in on Southern Oregon wrestling. Beautiful campus. Hopefully we can when we're in our travels catch a match there sometime, catch the campus out, and nothing but the best in the upcoming season.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Take care.